Well, good morning. It is Sunday morning. And if it's Sunday morning, it must be not your normal Sunday morning show. I'm Jeff Daugherty. He is our Wayne Steiger. I almost said Rod Steiger. I'm sure you've had that a few times.
Now it's once, twice.
And we are here, and so is Osaka, Sterling from Osaka. So nice to see you all. Nice to see you, Wayne.
Good to see you, Jeffrey. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing very well. I have no complaints, and even if I did, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, most people don't want to listen anyway. They'll send you good vibrations, but they don't want to listen.
Sometimes. I have been informed, though, that I have a CIA haircut, a red and black background, which proves I am from the reptilian shapeshifter underground moon base Uranus swamp gas overlords.
I knew it was going to come out eventually.
Yeah, you can only hide it for so long.
I love it. Well, buddy, how you been? How's the throat?
Almost 100%. It's taken a minute, but I've got back on my regimens and I've started taking monatomic gold, so I'll keep you posted on how that works.
Good.
Ormus. Have you ever taken Ormus?
No. No. Let me know how that goes, though.
I kept hearing it was great. It was great. It was great. So I plopped down. Mark Coyle says we knew it all along. I plopped down the $45 and I've been taking it for like 3 or 4 days. Nothing really to report at this point.
I've been hearing little rumblings in certain areas of Washington, D.C. There may be a crackdown coming, Jeff, on holistic supplements. It's really weird what I'm hearing. So,
well, it makes sense. I mean, I was talking about this. Who was I talking about this with? I think I just did a show on my own. And of course, Jay Campbell and I talk a lot about this. I think we are the last generation of real humans. And if we are, then it makes sense that they will do everything they can to crack down on ways to holistically, organically, naturally improve yourself and keep yourself healthy and keep yourself able to be the resistance. So it's absolutely no surprise to me whatsoever. And Wayne, I'm calling out all the stops. I don't know if people can still see that bruise on my arm, but I actually went and got my blood panel. So I'm getting checked out. If I need testosterone optimization, I'm going to do it. We're the last generation. I'm getting ready to lock and load.
Well, I found out something that was quite shocking, actually. So everyone now knows the big thing is get your genetic testing, get your ancestry, get your blood work, get to see the whole bit.
And I've been very tempted, Wayne, to do that.
Many of us have. I mean, who doesn't want to know where you came from? I mean, that's the question that we all want to know. So there's a lot of companies. Ancestry.com is owned by the Mormons. And so people need to be aware of that.
They know a lot about Ancestry. They really do.
They do. If
you know why, Wayne, of course, right?
Why is that, Jeff?
Because what they do, and I used to, back when I was a preacher, I did a week-long seminar at least hundreds of churches. It was a seminar on the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses. So I had a lot of study on them.
That was good.
It was fun. The reason they do it is because what they will do is go back as many generations as they can, and they baptize their ancestors by proxy.
Oh, really?
That's what they do.
Holy crap.
So that's the genesis of their reason for the very extensive, what's that called? Family ancestry, whatever. But they have probably, I would say unquestionably, the most extensive ancestry database network information source on the planet.
Wow, they got a new competition. So you're seeing everywhere you go now, 23andMe. Cool, slick commercials, and you wouldn't even know what they're really selling is basically genetic background on yourself. I was sitting and something hit me and said, start looking into this company. And so I did. And 23andMe is owned by Sergey Brin's wife.
Who is Sergey Brin?
Founder of Google.
Interesting.
Oh, it gets better, folks. Oh, Jeff, it gets much deeper here. Do you know once you send your sample and you sign on the dotted line, you give them your genetic identity. They are now turning around and selling that to the big pharmas. They're
Can you
mar-
opt out of that in your paperwork?
Now, I haven't found it. If there is, I'm sure it may be a clause in there, but I'm not going to do it. But that is something you need to look into. So well, how could you opt out? Once you give them your DNA, your genetic material, they take possession of it.
Right. But Wayne, you don't understand. They love us.
Yeah, they
They care
do.
about us. They would never do anything to harm us. And Wayne, I have to ask the question, and part of me wants to ask this, but the rest of me says no. I mean, come on, Wayne. We just want to know where we're from. We just want to know our ancestors. I mean, it can help us, talk to the gods of our youth. It can help us understand who we are, where we came from. They've already got our genetic code if they want it. Is it really that big a deal for us to worry about? With all the things there are to worry about, can't we just find out who we are? And they're going to get our DNA anyway. And besides, Wayne, they love us
Yeah, they
so,
love
so
you.
much.
Well, sure they do. So much so that now the price that is put on your head at birth has just gone up because for the corporations, they now know your genetic disposition. They know your offspring's genetic disposition. That's now going to go to the drug companies, in which now they're going to be able to target you in your genetic code to a whole host of new drugs.
You know, I'm somewhat, I guess, I don't know what the word is, but I was in the Air Force for 6 years. So they've got everything about me. They've filled me with everything. They've taken everything from me. So for me at this point, it's kind of a moot question. But yeah, it's definitely a very interesting conundrum. I can understand people wanting to know who they are, and I can understand the concerns for the government getting a hold of your DNA. And you have to sit down and do the equation. Is it worth, they probably got it anyway, but is it worth removing all doubt to find out who you are? And of course, you don't know if they're actually doing the work or if there's just some $10 an hour guy in a back room pushing buttons.
Yeah, and I think the thing that got me was the fact that who actually owns this company. And again,
Google loves us, Wayne. They love
yeah,
us.
oh, they love us. So I'm doing an expose on the fact that we've all been assimilated. And the fact that if you have a digital presence at all, any kind of digital footprint, digital DNA, it looks like we have already been assimilated. And think about this, Jeffrey. Here's the thought. So, does how should we say, the backbone or the consciousness of AI, does it ever sleep?
I would say no.
No. And the thing about it is, you and I, anyone, for instance, has a YouTube channel, anyone has an internet presence where you have now put your image into the digital mainframe, that image stays active 24/7, regardless if you're
Interesting.
on the net or not.
Can I interrupt this for
Sure.
a break?
Yeah.
Get your feedback on this. Sandra D just sent me an email and put a message in the chat room that says, Anonymous has revealed himself. Have you heard about that? And do you think that Anonymous has revealed himself, or is this a spoof? Thank you, Sandra D, for that information.
Is it the anonymous?
Well, Sandra is reporting that somebody's at least claiming that they are the Anonymous and then that they've revealed themselves.
Well, I don't know. I haven't. I know as we were coming live, there was reports hitting across the wire that there was a passenger jet that went down in
I
Moscow.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't gotten that. Someone was saying 20 Hendricks, the hospital took the blood from my kids. Yeah, so let me tell you what happens, folks. Here's a strange thing, parents. If you're at hospitals and you're signing the paperwork to get your child back, what you need to be aware of, in California particularly, they've been doing this for quite a while, is they do take ownership of your genetic child.
And not to mention, if you've got a boy and he's getting circumcised, I mean, they're not just,
yeah. Yep.
I mean, there's genetic material right there for sure.
And here's the interesting thing. If you ever go into court where they challenge your custodialship, your guardianship, a parent is no longer a parent. It's the state owns the child. You're just the guardian or the custodian over the state's property. And that's what it's come down to. And now that the state of California takes possession of all genetic material, the DNA, as the child's going off with the two guardians or custodians, which we call mother and father. And they're removing mother and father now from the birth certificates.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. It's interesting. And I mean, I'm probably one of the last holdouts in that whole idea about, the corporations and the birth certificates and all that. I just haven't seen enough proof, but I understand most people think it's true. And I'm
you ever been involved in a lawsuit?
Thankfully, no.
Okay, let me give you a dose of reality, Jeff. And I'm telling you seriously. So here's how the United States legal system works. I'm going to sue you because of a business deal that you and I were in, and I took responsibility for a particular part. It didn't go well, so I'm going to sue you in the court of which we signed, the state that we signed this deal in, whichever has the jurisdiction.
Right.
Now, what most people don't understand about the word jurisdiction, it's actually possession. So I sue you, right? I send you notice. You don't respond back. So I get a judgment against you in a foreign court. What happens?
Why do you say a foreign court?
Because let's say you live in Florida, I live in Colorado, and let's say this fictionary company has let's say a headquarters in Wyoming. So I take the action in the state of the corporation against you. You don't respond because it's too far away. I basically get a default judgment on you. What happens is that you actually now become possession of the state. Now,
what are you basing that statement upon, that I become possession of the state?
Every lawsuit, that's what happens, Jeff.
I need data, Wayne. I need to see chapter and verse.
Well, if you get served with a lawsuit, civil or criminal, you're going to find out very quickly what your citizenship is. And the thing
I have my birth certificate right here, but I don't.
Yeah, let me just tell you, it doesn't matter. Once a magistrate or a judge makes a ruling and it happens to be against you, I can then go into your state taking this default judgment, because guess what? I'm going to present it to the court in your county, because now I'm going to start collection proceedings against you. The very first thing that Florida will tell you, because you're going to have to get an attorney. That's the other thing. You can't represent yourself. You can, but it's a fool. So the state now takes possession of you.
Well, all of that is true.
It's very true.
Except for the take possession of you. They take possession of my assets.
No, no.
They have not taken possession of me, Wayne. They've taken possession of my assets. My assets are subject to liquidation. My assets are subject to forfeiture.
No,
but not me.
No,
as
you're
a person.
Wrong. You're wrong.
I have got to see objective, verifiable data, conjecture.
Well, you're talking to the asshole that was standing before the judge. I can tell you,
that's your reality, but I'm not convinced enough to make it mine.
Well, it doesn't matter whether it's your reality or not. I can tell you
this, and it doesn't matter unless I see proof I'm not buying what you're selling right now. I
Well,
understand.
that's fine because I can
And
tell
I
you the judge.
respect
Let me
you, and
just
I
tell you
know
how
that
the
you
judge
have
put
it,
it.
but I'm not buying
The
it.
judge told me specifically, it doesn't matter, Jeff. That argument will fall. In fact, you won't be allowed to speak.
If
I'm
I'm
just telling
representing
you.
myself, I would.
Oh no, no, no.
Mm.
You have to know all of the state codes in
That's why
order
you
to.
get a lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't. You see, it's not what you think it is. When we talk about possession of ourselves, that's what the state sees. Your possessions are secondary. It's you.
But I don't pay for anything. You sue me. You're not going to get any reparations from me. You're going to get reparations if they seize my assets, liquidate them, and give them to you, or put a lien on them. But they're certainly not going to put a lien on me. I can't help you. I can't do anything for you. They put a lien on all my assets.
Oh, let me tell you. Do you think that the days of debtor prisons are gone?
Physically, literally, yes.
You're wrong. No. And it's a very interesting process of how it works, and it happens very, very subtly. Very
One
subtly.
second, I got to knock on the door. I think I got a package. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Amazon delivering on Sunday.
There you go. Amazon anyway. So anyway, that's the thing. When you get through these processes, you begin to understand that we live under this net. And anyone who's been involved in the courts, now I've sued companies before and I know how the legal process works. But if you see those who get trapped, particularly the poor, into these what we call state taxes, and state taxes are the fines. You get pulled over because you don't have insurance. Then they issue a ticket. You can't pay the ticket, so you fail to show up. Bench warrant is now issued. You are now state property, and they're going to come after you. And they send out.
They're coming after your assets. They're not coming after you.
Oh no, they'll actually issue a bench warrant for your arrest.
Right, but even if they put you in jail,
you don't understand, but that's a debtor prison. You're in there.
I see your point there.
Yeah.
I see that point.
Yeah.
I see that point, because if you don't pay a fine and they issue a bench warrant and don't respond, you will get arrested. So I get you can make that logical progression that it is a debtor's prison. It's not stated to be a debtor's prison, but it is in effect.
I sat in court and watched, I guess, a half a dozen.
Which makes no sense, because if you go to prison, you can't produce any income to pay for the debt that you got the bench warrant for. So
but the prison industry now is a private corporation in the United States.
Not every prison, but a growing number of them.
It's becoming the trend, and so now you've got this $100 billion industry of a prison, and you've built it, you've invested into it. So you're not going to make laws that become favorable to the citizenry. It just doesn't work.
I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing you've ever thought about, that they would actually allow prisons to become profit centers. I mean, you don't have to. Any idiot can say, wait a minute, if people are making money by putting people in jail, aren't they motivated to put more people in jail?
I watched this process.
Thing I've never heard of.
It's absolutely, you just sit there and you go, whoa.
And that's why, I mean, look at the population of the United States. I think the African-American population, black population in the U.S. is around 14% or so, 14, 15.
Yeah.
And the black population in the prisons is over 50%. Why do they hate black people? I don't know if they hate black people or not, but per capita, black people generally have, and I'm just talking per capita, I'm not being racist here, less income, less ability to defend themselves, easy targets to get black folks in jail than it is per capita white folks. So you're going to go after the poor folks before you go after the folks that might actually be able to get a lawyer and defend themselves. So it really is a new form of slavery. And if you think they're going to be happy with just black folks, you better think again, because they're coming after all of us that aren't super rich, that, you know, have lawyers on staff and retained.
Well, the United States imprisons more of its citizenry than any other free world nation.
By far.
Yeah, we're ahead of the Soviet Union.
By
And
far.
people don't realize how repressive it really is here. Once you get into this system, it is just that. I mean, let's just take the common case of common sense. Now, here in Colorado, they've legalized marijuana, been legalized here for over 5 years now. Well, now we're having a problem with drivers driving high. And
imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. And the pot is so much more intense in the strains that they use. So here's the deal. So you're coming along, you get busted. Now, DUIs have been a plague for drivers since Ford invented the car.
Right.
So let's just use the DUI scenario, because that's one everyone, you get snagged. All right. So the first fine in the process gets you $10,000 is what it's going to cost you.
Wayne, am I a bad person if I don't feel sorry for people that get caught in this trap?
No, I mean, I don't think so. It's their experience.
If you're intoxicated, don't drive with all the Ubers
it's
and
nuts.
The walk.
But now let me tell you, I had a good friend argue the case. He says, but if you take that rationale, he said, how many tests have been done on antidepressants, anti-psychotic, anti-anxiety drugs?
Mm-hmm.
What is the cognitive response when a person's under those drugs? And he makes a good point. I never hear that argument.
And surprise, surprise, they've confirmed that the Las Vegas shooter had antidepressants in his system.
Yeah. And how many times have us where you've seen people who react when they're on these anti-anxiety depressants, etc. I've seen people zone out, and you go, hey, Bob, and you go, what, So Ambient, a lot of people take Ambient to sleep. The side effects of that drug last in your system for well over 48 hours. Take muscle relaxers if you take Flexeril or any of the associated drugs in that.
Sterling says if you're intoxicated, do not drive and stay off the internet.
They really ought to do that. So the point is that we basically in our society, we're high all the time in one form or another. It's just that we like to choose which one we want to vilify and which one we're going to tax the sin tax on. And
that's exactly right, Wayne. And you don't even know, well, I don't smoke anything. I don't snort anything. I don't shoot anything. Do you go through the drive-thrus and eat? Do you eat highly processed, highly refined products? Do you drink Coke? Do you get in? You don't know what they're putting in that stuff. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, they are conquering you through digestion. The more of that stuff, if you continue to eat that stuff, I almost don't have any sympathy for you anymore. It's not only bad for you, but the evidence is mounting that they're actually mounting a war against us through diet. So shame on you if you're still going through the drive-thru. Come on, man, wake up.
Well, here's something. Let's just do some simple economics for the chat room here. So, all right. So Jeff, you and I are going to go. We're going to have a cookout. So you and I are going to the store. Mm-hmm. We have 10 people that are going to come here. So we want to make hamburgers, right?
Okay.
So we're going to go in and you and I
wish I could be vegetarian, Wayne. I really do.
I know at this time we're going to do the hamburgers. And so you and I are probably going to look at this and we're going to spend, I don't know, somewhere around $14, $15 probably for 8-9 pounds of hamburger, right? Then we got to get the bread, and the bread's going to run us about $4 to $5, right? Then we're going to get the condiments. By the time we've got this all said and done, your and my cost for that hamburger, we got to figure in the propane to cook it or the charcoal. We're probably looking at probably about a $6 hamburger. when it's all said and done, and you put the cost. Now,
Right.
you and I haven't put any of our labor cost in that. So if you and I were to go for minimum wage, so we've got me doing the hamburger flipping, you're toasting the buns, right? And then we're going to have to both kind of assemble this. So we've got to add another, I don't know, we got to add another $7 to that price of that hamburger now, because we got to pay ourselves. So that hamburger now costs $14. I marvel when people go to all these different fast food restaurants. We won't call anyone by name.
Yeah.
But you're getting a complete meal for $5.
Doesn't matter if it's not real food, but yeah, I mean,
Well, yeah, that's the question. So what are they feeding?
If you actually want to get something that's good for you, it's super expensive.
Yeah, it is.
I know it's supply and demand, but it's also a plan, ladies and gentlemen. They're coming for us.
So 50 years ago, how many of us, because I'm 62, I was 12 years old, so I can remember a half century pretty well. I don't remember anyone in my class, I don't remember anyone around me ever having diabetes. Never heard about it.
Not much cancer back then either.
No. I mean, obesity, you had the fat kid, but you had one in every class,
Now you got one healthy kid in every class.
That's about how it's becoming down. And if you look at the long-term effect on our species is what it's happening to us. Right now, more Americans are diabetic and pre-diabetic. Do you know, I read this thing from the American Diabetes Association? It's getting to be 7 out of 10 Americans are going to be diabetic.
And how long can a diabetic last without insulin?
Well, you get into stage 2, they're going to get you for the rest of your life on metformin or some other, diabetic drug that's going to help your insulin production. My point to all this is that now that price tag on your head has just gone up because they have poisoned us. We've eaten it. We've consumed it. Our pancreases are not working. You look at the rate of pancreatic cancer and now the age of where pancreatic cancer is starting to attack. This is obviously all environmental.
Yep. And hello to Dan from Overwatch channel. He's in the chat room.
Hello, Dan. How you doing? Hello, everyone. Good to see you.
And we all have become, not we all, but the incidence of insulin. What's the right word? Your insulin doesn't work anymore because you gotten so obese, insulin resistant.
Mm-hmm.
You got to stop eating carbs. Start not eating any after 6 p.m. It'll change your life and you'll take back your sovereignty.
Well, we were talking Friday night over on my channel, and the thing about it is that when you begin to look at the amount now of the cosmic radiation that's actually penetrating the plant life that we now measuring it, it's getting to the point, Jeff, where, Soylent Green is looking more and more like a reality.
It really is. And there's actually been issued a new patent for, what do they call it? Biosludge, to take people and then put that on the crops. I found that somewhere, and I was going to do a show about it, but I wanted to get a little more review of the sources. But I remember back when I was first married, I was married for 16 years, the woman who's the mother of my children. And she told me she wanted to get a divorce, and somehow it wound up like, if you'll go on Paxil, maybe that'll be okay. So I remember being on Paxil for about a month just to try to go along and make things work. And I remember how it just makes you like a zombie. You don't feel, you don't get high, you don't get low, you're just zoned out. And I'm thinking how pliable it made me, how lackadaisical it made me. It made me just like a sheep. And the sad part of the sad fact of reality is that there's at least 60-70% of our country that's on those things. SRI inhibitors, I think they're called, right?
Yep. Yeah. And here's the scary fact. I did a video on this. We had to do another show on this because it's very relevant.
And I was on them. I know what it feels like.
Yeah, I dated a woman that was...
and that was 25 years ago, Wayne. So can you imagine what they got going now?
Oh, no. And she was taking lithium. And holy crap. But here's the thing. The fact that all of us in the chat room, growing there. And you and I mean, the fact is that the water systems, the municipality water systems cannot filter that out of the water. They
Even if they
can't
wanted
get
to.
those pharmaceuticals out. And so we're taking more and more doses. Men, young boys, is why they're growing breasts now. Their testicles are shrinking, is that the ingestion of the amount of estrogen males are now ingesting just by the environment is becoming a real problem with the sperm count of the ability of our species to reproduce. The Japanese are facing an absolute society collapse because their birth rate is now negative.
Hello, Wing Chun Fever. And Wayne, right now, if you go out on the street and pick any random male, test him for sperm count, he will be 50% less sperm count than any random male you would have tested before World War II. The estrogen is being injected into our food system. I'm convinced it's being administered through the chemtrails and the water and everything else. It is an outright war on masculinity. And remember, it's a war on testosterone. And not only men have testosterone, women have testosterone. And we're not talking about testosterone just so you can bench press 400 pounds. Testosterone is also the thing that makes you realize, hey, this is wrong. They're taking advantage of that person. They're repressing that person. They're oppressing that person. Somebody needs to do something about it, in both male and female. So it's a war against testosterone, not only to make us unhealthy, not only to make us pliable, not only to make us malleable, but also to get us to where we refuse to take care of ourselves anymore. And I've benched 400 before. It's not worth the shoulder pain when you're 55. Trust me.
No. And it gets to this whole deeper problem that this is an ongoing assault on our species. Now, you could take the conspiratorial point of view that this seems to be awfully well mastered the way they're doing this. Because the problem is becoming only, and let me just address the testosterone thing. Here's the thing. You can get supplements for that, but if it's not organically made by the body, there are certain neurons that are associated with that affects and impacts the brain as well. It's alarming. It really is. I mean, I often feel someone's talking about the Agenda 21.
Right.
Whether that is or isn't, I don't know. But I know this, it's getting pretty weird out there. It's getting really weird.
Really, really weird out there. Really, really weird. And
so let's just finish up on the diabetes thing. Can I just finish the point out there? Jeff, I think that what they're doing is that eventually, like you were talking with the Paxil, let's say they're putting in the chemtrails. Let's say it's in the water. I mean,
it is.
Yeah, the fluoridation. There's absolutely no reason for that. We now know that, a fifth grader can figure this one out. So something's going on. That's all I'm saying. And now that I realize that I think their goal is to get every person on a drug. It's odd. I'm thinking about the movie THX 1136. Did you remember that one?
I did not see that one.
Check that out. If you're a Robert Duvall fan, you will. And it was one of his first movies. And it's basically about a future that the sun has gone asleep. Oh, wow, this is weird. And so everyone's underground. And to keep everyone, because the population has now gotten so great, everyone is on drugs from the minute that they're actually born. Now, you can't have sex. It's only done in the lab. And I'll close it up with this, Jeff, and we'll get on the next topic. I just read this morning on The Guardian, they have now gotten to where, remember the test tube babies?
Mm-hmm.
They've now apparently made a genetically manufactured form of sperm.
Crazy. See, this is why I started working with Jay Campbell. Jay is an expert in fitness, bodybuilding, testosterone optimization in both men and women. And say, Jeff, why do you got to go down that road? I mean, it's, why? Because I've begun to realize and understand that it's a war against us. They're trying to take us down. We are the last generation of real humans. And the last thing they want is for a bunch of healthy, optimized, strong powerful humans, because it's much easier to conquer, to keep down, to divide, to control weak, fat, apathetic humans. So the last thing they want is you in great shape. The last thing they want is you with great muscle tone and the ability to fight back. The last thing they want is you at a comfortable weight so you could run for 4 miles if you had to get away from them. Folks, it's not about looking good anymore. It's not about your pecs. It's not about your biceps. It's about the ability to be a strong, formidable opponent to those that are trying to take over, and to be able to thrive if you have to run. We're the last generation of real humans. We got to get busy.
I hope it's not too late. I don't know.
I know you sound like Rex. Both of you guys are like, I think it might be over.
Well,
I just can't. I don't think so. I don't think so.
It's like they've got us in checkmate. I mean, you can't ingest good, healthy food now. Now, you could probably start growing it yourself, I think, but you look at the microbial count in soil around the world today, and that is virtually devoid in many, many regions. And it's becoming a problem here, even in the United States. So we no longer have the microbial organic growth that is vital to our healthy state of beings. So we substitute that with petrochemicals, with other chemicals, and we've been doing that now for almost 100 years. So the food in itself, I don't know how much Monsanto has come in and genetically modified. They may have modified the entire food system. I don't know. I know in most states, it's illegal for farmers to buy seeds that are not from Monsanto.
Right.
So,
and it's not easy, but there's things we can do. And I just found, and I'm in Clearwater, Florida. It's not the most earthy, crunchy place in the world. It's just not. But I was able to find a place that prepares organic, locally sourced meals. I know is organic. I'll guarantee you it's a lot more organic than McDonald's, a lot more organic than Burger King, a lot more organic than the stuff that Cisco is delivering to your grocery store. But I can get locally sourced organic meals, which are delicious, $11 a pop. I guarantee you, if you want to do the work, you can find that in your area. Eat locally, go to the farmer's market, eat organic. No, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than the stuff you are eating. Quit using that as an excuse.
No, I agree with you on that. I think we can all improve on the diet. It's just that I don't know if most bodies today could actually probably go into shock. I was like, this is real food.
Apple cider vinegar is a great tool.
But one of the things I want to bring up about the
Earth Fare is awesome. It's a new grocery store. We got one here, and Belinda says she's got one in Fairfax, Virginia. Earth, F-A-I-R. It is off the hook. Great, great place.
Good. Well, that's the thing we need, But when I talk about these microbes that are missing in our soil, they're gone, they're dying, it's having a direct result in if our digestive system is devoid of a certain amount of bacteria that we need in there, this is why today we have such problems with digestion. You need
to take probiotics. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. It's so it's a weird time. I have to just say it's getting more stranger by the moment. So
it really is.
I'm writing a book. I've got the outline done, and it is The Trial of God. Humanity puts God on trial for crimes against humanity. And it's becoming a very interesting thing that I've built here, Jeff. I think you maybe use you once I get finished it, but I've been thinking about this. Genocide. If any human being has ever been, and we can think of a few, Hitler, he was tried on crimes against humanity. The Khmer Rouge in Cambodia, they were tried on crimes against humanity. Idi Amin was tried on genocide. And I began to look at this because what happened, I did Thursday on my radio program. I said, religion, all right or all wrong. I mean, the conundrum is that they can't all be right and they all can't be wrong.
Why can't they all be wrong?
Well, if they're all wrong, then we don't know anything about the concept of a higher being.
Maybe the fact that all religions are wrong shows that we instinctively know what a higher being's about and know that they're not bringing it.
Well, that's a good point. I said, actually I wrote on the program there, I got a couple of notes. I said, so if there wasn't a religion, humanity would make one up. Somewhere along the line, listen, they got the church of the internet now. They got the church of pot. I mean,
Mark Twain said, if there never been a priest, there never would have been an infidel.
Ooh. So in my book I'm writing, this is going to be a trial, and humanity is going to sue God and all the gods. And we're suing them for, number one, breach of contract. 2, we're suing them against the crimes that they have committed against humanity. And in this book, I'm writing in part of the, it's like a play, that, all right, the courts have granted it. They've allowed the lawsuit to go forward. The question is, will God show up? Because they're going to have to answer to, I've been working on this while Lynn has been sick, is that I have counted just in the Christian faith, their Bible. If you use just that as the indictment, there's 1 billion deaths right there.
Oh, easily.
1 billion deaths. Who answers for this?
Good question.
Who answers for this? And we want to, I know some people on the West Coast, but when I get finished with it, I think it's going to be a great mini-series. I want to see if God or any God will actually show up to answer the charges of genocide against humanity.
The God of the Bible won't show up. He's a punk and a coward.
Yeah. So I'll let you know how that's going. I'm having fun just doing the outline on this. But as I began to think about it, Jeff, the list of charges, just of what we would charge another human being with, is getting rather long.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at it, the God of the Bible was nothing more than Charles Manson exponentially multiplied. The God of the Bible, very rarely, I can't even find a unquestionable place where he himself actually took action, showed up, and killed somebody. But he was continually to the tune of probably close to 1 billion. I think your numbers are probably right. Ordering that babies be killed, children be killed, men be killed, women be killed. He is responsible for, I'll say you're probably right, close to 1 billion deaths. But he probably never killed anybody himself. He's like Charlie Manson, but we keep Charlie Manson in jail forever. And we go every Sunday and worship our own Charlie Manson. Come on, man. What's wrong with you?
Well, and the indictment that, as I was writing this out, as it would be, because we'd have to file charges with the court, is the book of Joshua. I mean, that book alone is one that, if you want to have evidence against you, I mean, they listed it out. You wiped out this race of people, okay, you wiped out this one. So, yeah. And then
Wayne, it's okay. They're God's chosen people.
Exactly. But you know what sucks on that? If you're not God's chosen people, because apparently it's a good chance you're not going to be around.
And what's the difference between we're God's chosen people and we're the master race? Do you see any difference? I see those as moral equivalents.
They are. They're exactly that. I mean, that's the problem, as I said Thursday night on my radio show, was that's the problem with religion. Immediately when you dip your toe into it, you're contaminated with it, because it's going to be you against somebody else. Somebody else is going to have a different opinion or different view. And then the division starts. Someone wrote me and said, well, why don't y'all talk about, the fact that a divided house? And I wrote back and I said, I think we talk about that all the time.
All the time, yeah.
It is a divided house. That's how they've kept us divided. And at some point in time, I'm hoping, Jeff, that we will listen. I think a person wrote me, they watch the show here, and apparently people watch this around the world, but they said that this is the first intelligent conversation where God is not so much an entity as it is basically the construct. It can't be defined. I just don't think it can. I don't think we've gotten there, Jeff.
That's interesting.
I mean, the way I look at it for myself, the limited view that I have of the world, of the spiritual realm, and I'm looking at other men who had supposedly spiritual visions, spiritual encounters, and I say supposedly, I wasn't there. I've had mine, but you weren't there. You've had yours, and I wasn't there. So all I could take it is at face value of what I'm being told or read. And in every case, it still fails, and I think adequately defining what the ultimate infinite being is. So,
and I think the real problem is that even people that wake up, so to speak, even people that become part of the truth movement, so to speak, I still get this question probably more than any other question. Jeff, who do I pray to?
Ah, yes.
2,000 years of indoctrination, 2,000 years of mental abuse has got us to the place where we intuitively, instinctively think that we've got to have somebody else. I can't take care of me. I can't help myself. I can't access divinity within myself. Who do I pray to? Sandra D'Angelo stole my thunder there and says,
yeah, Sandra gets the gold star.
You pray to yourself. You pray to the divinity within you. The kingdom of God is in you, and you've been given the ways and the truths that lead into life and life more abundantly. The very act of praying puts you, you know what prayer is called? It's called supplication. You know what supplication means? Putting yourself under another entity. So the very act of praying means I am ceding my sovereignty. I'm ceding my freedom. I'm ceding my divinity to something else. Just stop doing it. You'll feel much better.
Exactly. As I in fact, I have my notes from Thursday night. Number one, I had a person write to me and saying, you're going to go to hell. You've blasphemed Jesus. You've taken the Lord Jesus' name and you've committed the ultimate sin. And I wrote back and I said, well, first of all, let's clear on definition. You called him Lord Jesus. So Lord actually means Baal. That's what Lord translates. So you're calling this deity Baal Jesus. I said, but the fact is, Jay wasn't brought in until 1654 into the first Dutch version of the Bible. And from that point, we have to go back a Jesus. And it's interesting, Jeff, I just happen to be going over a book, The Caesar's Messiah.
Yeah.
I really recommend this book for everyone to read.
It's a good one.
And I happen to agree with the author. I think when they're worshiping Jesus, asking Jesus to come into their hearts, they're worshiping Flavius Titus. You are bowing down to an old Roman emperor who declared himself the Son of God. But that's just my take. Mm-hmm. So I wrote him back and I said, so who are you praying to? Well,
and is it interesting, the word P-R-A-Y and the word P-R-E-Y?
Pray. Which are you?
If you pray, you are prey.
You are prey. Exactly. And so, it's these things that I think that this awakening, someone wrote me this morning, they said, there's a buzz going around is that there's this second wave of ascension coming. And I wrote him back and I said, is the first one over?
That's the first one started.
I don't know. I do know this is that I don't know for you, Jeff, but I see this in they peak and then they go out. But there's a lot of Christians who are coming to a lot of my archives. The one that I've got nearly 80,000 views on is Satan. Lucifer is not Satan. So, and when did Satan get a promotion? That video, along with the two creations, discussing Genesis 1:26 to Genesis 2:7. Something's happening. There seems to be a lot now, another group coming through that are saying, well, then help us out here. What do you mean there is no Jesus? What do you mean Christianity isn't the religion?
Yep, I agree 100%.
You're reading in there, aren't you?
I'm looking at the comments. Yeah. I'm as bad as Heidi. I have to read them all.
Yeah. I feel like, it's like you're walking along and where'd you go?
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. And we have to realize that we're divine, we're sovereign, and we're free.
We are. I like how I've been reading about this. Have you read the Utara?
No.
Okay. How many in there have? I've just now, it's over 2,000 pages, but it's an interesting book. I'll send you the link on it. But it's a story about where we actually came from. And the fact is that we're millions and millions of years old.
Is that like the Urantia book?
Thank you. The Urantia book. That's what it is. Have you read that?
No, I keep getting people telling me I should read it. I've read pieces of it. A lot of people say that what I teach comes out of the Urantia book.
I read the part of sin,
but I haven't read it. I probably should, but it's 2,000 pages, Wayne.
Yeah. So I'm just taking it. I have a guy who's gone through it and he's given me the piecemeal of it. And I said, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Well, if somebody sends me a hardcover version of the Urantia book, I might read it, but I'm not going to read the PDF.
Well, there's the challenge. But so sin, I have become more and more seeing a possibility here that I did that one video, does your soul stink? People don't like that video, and they don't like even the title of it because it offends them to think that their soul can actually stink. But the core of what I see so much problems with each of us is that we so often self-condemn ourselves, self-judge ourselves to the point that where we are holding ourselves down. And that is a form of a foul smell.
And whether you actually stink or not, it's a bad thing to be talking yourself down.
It is. It is. And I find at times I have to catch myself at it. I don't know about you. I haven't reached that point of perfection, but I'm catching myself at it. I'm going, whoa. Now, wait a minute. Who am I talking to here?
I probably am on the other end of that and probably still a little bit arrogant. So I don't really talk myself down very much. I'll just be honest with you. I got the other end of that problem.
Well,
that probably stings too, though. It's just a little bit different.
I don't know, but I've decided that I really want it when I do my mirror gazing in the morning now. I want to begin to think about it. I'm washing my body, right? The physical body, because if you don't wash this thing, it stinks. And now I become much more aware that I can see in the spirit realm, they see humanity, right? Yeah, you could literally see the smell off of the souls as they're walking by, I decided I want to smell like chocolate chip cookies baking.
Interesting.
And so that's a smell that you really have to work on. And in order to get that, I want to make sure that I don't have any Limburger cheese hanging around.
Yeah. Very, very interesting.
I'm just reading some of the comments, and I think some people see it as well.
How can you eat stuff that if you leave it sit for months, it never rots?
I don't know.
What's wrong with you people?
Now, are you talking about the cheese or are you talking about the Big Mac?
I'm talking about those products you can get through the drive-through that they will just sit there.
Yeah.
And they won't rot. Do you really think that's any good for you? Do you really think
Ah,
that's any good for you?
I don't think it is.
Somebody
Melissa?
says John Travolta smelled like cookies when he was an angel in that movie.
Yeah,
I
and
ate
Michael.
breakfast with John Travolta one day. Great guy.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Yeah, I think chocolate chip cookies is a great smell. I mean, if I was out on the ether highway, just after I leave here, if I smelt chocolate chip cookies, I think I'm going to stop. You know? I hope a spirit can smell. I mean, I'm
I don't
still.
want to smell like a cookie, Wayne. I really don't. That
What
doesn't
do you want to
resonate
smell
with
like?
me.
You know,
I don't know. Not a cookie.
high karate,
No, maybe
Old
something like
Spice.
maybe like a kiwi or a strawberry or something cool like that. I
Okay.
know he's a Scientologist. He's still a nice guy. We had a really nice talk for about a half an hour.
Well, I had this conversation. I hope we can one day get over the fact that we don't title a person, he's a Scientologist, or, he's an atheist, or they're a homosexual, or what. I think if we get to the point, John Travolta is a human being.
And I'll tell you this, or I'll make this statement, which I never thought I would. There's a lot more truth in the Church of Scientology than there is in the Assemblies of God.
Probably is.
How
But
about that?
I like Benny Barbarito, welcome back,
Benny
Carter.
Barbarino, up your nose with a
The
rubber
rubber
hose.
hose, Hey, Mr. Carter.
Well,
But
that's going way back.
it is. It is. Welcome back. All right, John Sebastian. Great trivia question. Next time you see the movie Woodstock, 3 Days of Peace and Love, when you see the John Sebastian point where he is singing, understand this. He was tripping on Orange Sunshine.
Isn't that
And
something?
yeah, and that's why he couldn't remember the lyrics of the song. He said he was tripping so bad. He said the people were just this huge undulation out there. And I went, okay. So I digressed on that point.
Do many people remember that John Travolta actually had a #1 single in the 70s?
He did.
He
Yeah.
did.
And hey, listen, Saturday Night Fever, it's what brought the Bee Gees back.
I was
mean,
talking to John and I said to him, do you realize you've been in at least 3 culturally altering movies? And he sat back. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, think about it. Saturday Night Fever changed the culture,
yeah.
brought in the disco age.
Mm-hmm.
Urban Cowboy brought in the whole cowboy age.
Yep.
And then you could argue that Pulp Fiction also was
Pulp Fiction. Well, look at
altering movie. He put down his fork. He said, you know what? You're right. Thank you
yeah.
very much.
I love the movie Get Shorty. I mean, with Gene Hackman and Rene Rosso is in there. It's a great movie.
I didn't see that one.
You have to go see it. It's check it out. Get Shorty. Yeah, it's a good movie. But speaking of John Travolta, so when they were shooting Michael, they actually came into LaGrange, Texas, and actually shot that scene. And the jail was actually there in LaGrange, and that was a great dance scene, by the way.
Oh, he's a great dancer.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a
And
little taller than you think, too. He's got to be 6'1", 6'2", John.
well, he's also a pilot. The
He
only
is.
guy.
He flies his own 747, 737 into the
It's
airport here, St. Pete Clearwater Airport.
yeah, that's a 757, and
Yeah.
parks it at his house. I mean, hey, listen, how cool is the dude with that? There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm just looking at some of the more comments in here. This has been a good discussion, buddy. Well, we have covered the full gamut, and then some.
We usually do.
The Greys and the Reptilians cried when Paul Crouch dropped dead.
He dropped dead a while ago, and Jan dropped dead now, too.
Did Jan pass on?
She did.
When did she pass on? That's
been a couple years, I think.
Yeah.
This next week, Wayne, or in the next 10 days at least, I'm going to be going to a crystal mine here in Florida and doing a live show from a crystal mine. I'm going to go into my shortwave radio station that kicks off next Wednesday night, by the way, worldwide, doing a show from there. We're also going to go over to NASA and do a show from there. And I was getting to a point somewhat related to something somebody said. I forgot it now. But I'm going to be doing live shows from those places and also from Casadega which is a spiritualist encampment outside of Orlando, and they have an orb tour. I'm going to go do that and film that orb tour. So a lot of
Cool.
great stuff coming up with the paranormal trip, and that's made possible by people getting a hold of these Mistech bands and changing their life. So help me help you. Go to jeffreydarty.com, look at the Mistech bands. If you want them, order them through me, a full 20% discount.
There you go. Well, good. That sounds like it's going to be a good show.
Oh, it's going to be excellent. I can't wait. It's going to be absolutely fabulous. And I really am looking forward to going and I'm going to have lunch with an astronaut. And I'm going to ask him some of those questions about, hey, when you were up in orbit, what shape was the Earth? Hey, what do you
Well,
think about these
I like
people
what
that
they
say that
said.
we never went to the moon?
I like what I read about the Flat Earth Society when they were talking about Elon's Tesla going up. They
Right.
said, we have believers all over the globe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You
Jeff,
might want to rethink that.
here you go. Have you
Yeah, I
seen?
saw this. This is
Yeah,
excellent.
this is the latest rendition. So, um, you know, what you think on this one?
That's very cool. Super cool. I love it.
I think having you as the Hulk is, I thought, pretty cool, dude. I thought that
That's kind of
yeah,
awesome. I like that. New
yeah,
haircut and everything.
yeah. And it looks like I'm Han Solo, so I can dig that.
I don't know if Trisha's going to be real happy,
Where
but she's a fox. So, hey, can you beat that?
look at that. Yes, don't mess with Mama.
And then
And
there's Jay Campbell. Of course,
yeah,
Rex out in front.
yeah. You gotta love this. I mean, I just wanted to uh whoever did this is very cool.
It is cool. Super cool. I think Lee did this, if I
I think it
remember
was
correctly.
Lee. I think it was. So I just wanted to share that with you. Also, tonight,
Where's Moonstone? Is this Moonstone up here flying around?
uh, I don't know. Let's see. I actually got out of it. So tonight, by the way, I want to do a little promoting on a show tonight. I've been waiting a month to interview this fine person. Tonight at 7 o'clock Mountain Time, Mary Rodwell. She is the leading UFOologist in Australia and into Europe. She has worked all of her life with contactees and abductees. So check in. It'll be, I think, noon her time tomorrow when we do the universe, but I mean the interview, but it'll be tonight our time.
Excellent. Sounds like fun.
I think it is. I'm really looking forward to that. She is a delightful person, and I think it's going to have a good conversation.
Great. Great. Well, another
So,
great show as always.
yeah. So what's you're going to be busy now? You're on the road this week then?
Yeah, I'll be on the road increasingly in the days to come, but it'll be probably starting Wednesday. I'm going to go over and make that whole loop, and it's going to be a great time.
She's in the movie Australian. Okay. Yeah, she has quite a following. This is going to be fun. So I'll look for you on now you're going to be, when's your broadcast for your shortwave? What time? Is it there a place that people can listen to it on the internet, or do they have to have a shortwave radio?
You have to have a shortwave radio.
Okay.
And I just happen to have purchased a shortwave radio right here.
Oh.
So you have to have a shortwave radio. There's probably 250 million people that have shortwave radios in the world. And it doesn't make sense to really do it, but for some reason my Blink tells me to do it. So we are going to be going on shortwave on Wednesday with the Christian Whistleblower show.
Good.
And we're on twice a week, literally all over the whole world. But you do have to have a shortwave radio.
Okay. And I definitely want to get you over on my show. I know you've been on Jennifer's, right? Have you been on her radio show?
Yes, I have.
I have to get you over on mine.
It was my pleasure.
Let's see. She's also involved in Australian, the upcoming documentary. Cool. Well, this ought to be a fun hour. I'm really looking forward to talking to this lady. She has some insights that I think may provide us some answers, Jeff.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so. Well, buddy, it's always fun.
Absolutely.
Let's see
It's
about getting
my
together on
pleasure.
Wednesday night.
Somebody asked, which Mystic bands do you recommend to start off with? Well, if if you have a Wing Chun, for whatever it's worth, you got timed out because I didn't like the word you used. It's kind of a family show, and I think that's a gross word. So you're my bro, and we're like this, but I just don't like that word in the chat room. If it's a financial issue, you can get these for $25, and they're great. They're level ones. If you're looking for probably the best thing to start off, in my mind, it's the Silver Lightning. And no, just don't worry about it. So anyway, yeah, I would start off if you have a financial issue, get the sports band. If you're looking for just a good entry level and finance isn't such a big deal, get the Silver Lightning.
Cool.
And Wayne, yeah, Wednesday, our midweek report.
Yeah, sure. If you can come over on mine if you want.
For what? What do you mean?
On the midweek report. Suppose you over there.
Oh, okay. Instead of doing it over here.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I'll give you the information on the shortwave frequency that it's on.
By the
I
way,
don't
what did
know
that
off the top
cost?
of my
Did you
head.
get that from Amazon?
I did. I got this from Amazon, and you
That's
can get them a lot less expensive. This one cost me about $160. It's a really nice one,
That's cool.
but you can get them for as little as $50.
That is a really nice little compact. I like that.
And I mean, if things ever do really hit the fan, and if everything ever does go down, guess what? You can always still pick up shortwave.
All right. So I got to say this. You know what this reminds me of, folks? Joe versus the volcano.
I didn't see that, but
Oh, Jeff, you got to see that movie. It's a great Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan movie. It's a good
oh,
movie.
nice.
Yeah.
They had a nice
they
they had a
did.
nice chemistry together.
Yeah. And Joe versus the volcano is a cult classic. It really is. You'll like it.
I'll have to check that one out.
The shortwave radio, those on his trunks, his traveling trunks.
I'll check it out.
All right. Well, buddy, get yourself completely healed there. Get that. The throat sounds great.
Yeah, I'm right on the edge, and it's funny. It's funny because I got one of the new Mystic bands for the throat, and as soon as I put that on, it kind of put me over the edge of healing. So I'm just saying.
Hey, whatever works.
Saying.
That's what I say.
Sandra D is awesome. Somebody in the chat room was talking about cleansing, and then made that mention that they might actually be inebriated. And Sandra's like, a good way to start cleansing is to stop drinking. I haven't touched a drop of alcohol in a couple of years, and I don't know if I ever will again. It makes me physically sick, and I'm like, why do I want to drink it anyway?
Well, I don't like alcohol. I used to be a wine connoisseur, loved wine. But the problem I don't like is the dehydration. And Dr. Miller, when we discussed him, my wife as a nurse knows this as well, but the fact that most of the pharmaceutical drugs dehydrate the body.
Yeah.
And then most Americans don't drink enough moisture to begin with.
Jay Campbell doesn't drink alcohol either.
Yeah.
Just a little tidbit there.
And now I'm getting to where I don't want to drink bottled water,
I have heard a rumor that Rex drinks alcohol every now and then, though.
Well, little libations.
So it doesn't mean, it's just my thing.
No, those are grandma's cookies. That's all that is.
That's right. Grandma's cookies.
All right.
What's grandma putting in those cookies?
Well, I don't know, but in Texas, I don't know.
I mean, I guess some people can drink it. I just can't.
Well, the way I look at it, the spiritual side of the journey is getting to be far more cooler. That's what I tell people.
It is. You don't have a hangover. You just have a carryover.
Yeah. You get great dreams,
You do. I've been drinking distilled water exclusively for about 3 or 4 months, maybe a year. That's all I drink. That came up in the chat room.
Yeah. Alkaline.
Love it. And I've been drinking a teaspoon of baking soda in water the last week. That's helped out a lot, I think.
Alan says, drinking and feeling healthier. Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, water. That's all I got to say. Keep your body.
A lot of it.
And the other thing is, I'll just leave this, is if you got an anger thing of unforgiveness, man, deal with it, because that dries the bones.
Yes, it does.
It dries the bones. It does.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, nice to be here. I really appreciate you guys. I know Wayne does as well.
Yes.
We'll see you again on Wednesday and every day in between.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care now. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.